everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Garage Pros. I'm Mark Nolan. You know, years ago, manufacturers started making the fuel pumps fuel tank inserted. In other words, you couldn't just look down along the side of the engine block and find your fuel pump there anymore. You had to actually go back into the fuel tank. Opens up a whole can of worms whenever it's time to replace that fuel pump. But the interesting part is it is all now self-contained. You've got your fuel filter here. You've got your fuel level indicator, the float here. A lot of fuel, a little fuel. Attached to a rheostat here, simple enough. You've got all of your electrical connections that go along with it too, and also your line connections, your fuel line, your vent line, and your return line, and it's all right there. In a lot of ways, it's a lot easier to replace one of these than the old version of the fuel pump, simply because it just slips down inside where the old one was. There's a little cam lock that goes on top of it in most cases. Well, the tough part is actually getting the fuel tank down from beneath your vehicle, especially if you live in a northern climate where there's a lot of salt. It's tough to get those nuts and bolts out of there. But once the tank is down, this is pretty simple. And the great news is we got them for you. All you got to do is dial in your vehicle, and the next thing you know, it's on the way to your house. Simple enough. You're doing it in your driveway. It might take about a day or so, especially if you have a tough time getting that fuel tank out of there. Direct replacement fuel pump. We've got them. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Garage Pros. I'm Mark Nolan.